and welcome to tonight's Fort Wayne Community School Board of School Trustees meeting. We begin this meeting, as we do each meeting, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we have roll call of members.
Good evening, Steve Corona from the 5th District.
Good evening, Antoinette Payne, District 4.
Julie Hollingsworth, District 1.
Noah Smith, District 3.
Jennifer Mathias, District 2.
Ann Duff, Member at Large.
And to my left, we have Dr. Mark Daniel, Superintendent, Fort Wayne Community Schools, and Angie Filler, Clerk of the Board. I'm Maria Norman, Member at Large. This evening, we have no awards and recognitions, so we jump straight to the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes from the meeting on January 27th, vouchers and payroll for the period ending February 10, and payroll and supplemental pays for the period ending January 24. The personnel report and required disclosures. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Ann. Thanks, Tony. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Dr. Daniel, did you have anything? No. Okay, thank you. We have no old business, so we are on to new business. Steve, are you up and running?
Yes,
Could you do A, please?
it is recommended the board approve the purchase of Cisco wireless access points from Sentinel Technologies in the amount of $851,031.44. This purchase of 776 Cisco wireless access points will replace wireless access points reaching their end of life. Schools included in this purchase are Brentwood, Fairfield, Franke Park, Haley, and Lindley Elementary Schools, Blackhawk, Kikianga, Lakeside, Miami, and Portage Middle Schools, and then Northrop and Snyder High Schools. A public bid was conducted through the Federal Universal Service Fund portal in conjunction with our purchasing department's legal requirements and procedures. Through USF discounts, the district will only be responsible for 15%, or $127,654.72 of the actual cost. That's a pretty good deal. Funding will come from the Operations Fund, the 2024 Technology Go Bond, and the 2025 Common School Fund Loan. And Kevin Griebel, Director of Technology, is here to answer any questions about this recommendation.
Thanks, Steve. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Ann. Any questions for Kevin?
Just out of curiosity, Kevin, what is the lifetime of a wireless access point?
Good question. So we're on about a 5 to 6 year replacement cycle. So as new technology comes out, as they bring that into the new devices and get it in supply chains, it's about 5 to 6 years.
Thanks.
Sorry, go ahead.
How many access points do we have in total?
Oh, trivia question. Probably around the neighborhood of about 2,900.
And this is coming from operations, the Technology Go Bond and the Common School Fund Loan for funding. What roughly would you say, or do you know, is each bucket of money coming from?
So I know the CSF and the Go Bond are the heavy financial there, and then the operations is just kind of tidying up the loose end on that. I don't have the exact numbers though.
Would you project 100,000 from that?
I'd probably say the operations was around probably 25,000. And the other funds are coming out of the CSF and the Go Bond.
And so this is for 776 wireless access points. You said we have 2,900, so almost 3,000. This is about 1/5. Are these imperative or important to our ability to function and operate as an educational system?
Without them, Wi-Fi won't work.
Okay. So money from the operations fund that we could utilize. Thank you, Kevin.
Any other questions? Thank you. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next on the agenda, Cafeteria tables. Tony, are you able to read that one? Thank you.
It is recommended that the board approve the Sharp School Services contract to supply cafeteria tables at several schools in the amount of $1,620,985.92. The project includes the purchase of 528 cafeteria tables to be placed in 30 schools and the pickup, delivery, and storage of 506 existing tables to be auctioned to the public. Project specifications require the work to be completed no later than July 11th of 2025. Darren Hess, Director of Facilities, will be available to answer any questions.
Thanks, Tony. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Thanks, Ann. Thanks, Julie. Any questions for Darren?
I do. This is 528 new cafeteria tables. How long do cafeteria tables last? What's the longevity in general?
25, 30 years.
So a lot of these are in schools that haven't had new tables for that long?
Yes.
When we did our, like, big renovation projects, did that include, like, replacing cafeteria tables? Like,
It did not. Typically, when we
Okay.
did the large renovation, it was mainly all put towards construction.
and what's the funding source for this?
So historically, we have used CPP for this, the Capital Projects Fund operations, but this one is fully funded by Nutrition Services.
By what?
Nutrition Services.
Oh, gotcha.
And have we auctioned tables before? Are we anticipating a large amount, dollar amount for that?
I'm hoping to cover costs. We have before, we bought probably about a third of that amount 10 years ago. So we'll be selling these in lots. It's quite a bit of supply.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Who buys? Oh,
So
when
people
you
put them in
send it
their
to auction-
garage or, whoever, yeah.
But you sell them in lots, so they're going for multiples they're selling it at multiples at a time?
Correct.
Anybody need 250 tables?
128.
Right? Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Darren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that takes us to the restroom renovation at Portage. Julie?
It's recommended that the board approve a construction contract with C3 Construction Services, LLC, in the amount of $259,602. The project includes the remodeling of 4 multi-user restrooms and a second-floor staff restroom at Portage Middle School. And Darren Hess is still here to answer any questions.
Thanks, Julie. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Jen. Any questions for Darren?
Is C3 a local firm?
Yes, their shop is on Goshen Road.
Will it be started this summer and done this summer then, hopefully?
We'll start portions of it just after spring break.
What time before school starts?
Correct.
Any other questions? Thanks, Darren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next up, we have the Scholarship Committee appointment. Noah?
It is recommended the board approve the following appointments to the Fort Wayne Community School Scholarship Committee. Appoint Miss Becky Hill, nominated by Jennifer Mathias. Miss Becky Hill will replace Pastor Tim Graham. Well, the recommendation or related information is one of the tasks for each board members to recommend an appointment to the FWCS Scholarship Committee. The FWCS Scholarship Committee was established by the Fort Wayne Community Schools Board of Trustees on September 24th, 1984, when Steve was here, just a young board member at the time. Each spring since 1987, scholarships have been awarded to FWCS students. Gift range from $500 to $1,500. There are 7 members of the Scholarship Committee and 1 permanent chairman, Mr. Matt Henry. Each is appointed by a board member and has a term which coincides with the term of that school board member. Members of the Scholarship Committee, assisted by FWCS staff administer the awarding of these scholarships by reviewing applications, interviewing candidates, and making the final recommendations.
Great, thanks, Noah. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks, Julie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry, I was writing and talking at the same time. Any opposed? Okay, great. All right.
Just as a comment, glad to have Becky Hill, a former colleague of ours who served on the board for a couple terms. And I think she said to me she was really looking forward to doing this. So I'm glad she's joining the committee. I think she'll be a great addition.
I thank you for going a go-between.
We're talking her into it?
Yeah, well, I fortunately had 2 prior appointees, of which both of them bettered themselves, I would like to say, and had to move on. So one of them became one of our teachers, which was fabulous.
Yeah.
So she could no longer serve. And then Pastor Graham became the regional bishop, so he had to move to Indianapolis. So they aren't just dropping like flies off my appointees aren't just dropping like flies. They're actually bettering themselves. And I'm super happy to have Becky become my appointee. So thanks. Thank you.
Welcome, Becky. Okay, next up on the list is employee clinics. It is recommended that the board approve an updated health and wellness services agreement through May 31st, 2026 with Parkview Health Systems, Inc. for the 2 current employee clinics and wellness coaches. In 2015, the board approved the original contract with the annual cost of $649,000. Thereby funding 2 employee clinics. FWCS extended the original agreement in 2018 and 2019. The current contract is for an annual fee of $722,882 from June 1, 2023 to May 31st, 2026. This amount will increase by 2% effective June 1st of each subsequent year. As FWCS is self-insured, it reduces the district's overall prescription, drug, and medical expenses, resulting in substantial net savings. Mary Hess, Director of Health and Wellness, and Gina Dundon, Wellness Coordinator, will make a brief presentation regarding employee wellness.
Do we
yeah,
want to vote
we-
on the contract first?
I think we need to make a motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a motion on the floor?
I move for approval.
Second.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Noah. All right, and now Mary and Gina
And
can.
vote?
That's after, I think.
Oh.
Is that after? Okay, thanks.
Thank you, School Board and Dr. Daniel. I'm Gina Dundon. I'm the Wellness Coordinator for the district. So since 2015, we have been in contract with Parkview Health for our vendor for our health and wellness clinics. We've continuously seen growth in these clinics through provider utilization and the benefits that we've been able to offer through these clinics. The staff wellness piece is we have those 2 wellness clinics that we talked about. We also have the lifestyle change specialist, which is our wellness coaches. And then we're going to talk briefly a little bit on the employer shared clinic that we also have now. As you see here, provider utilization has done nothing but increase since 2015. We were very stagnant for a while, but it has taken off over the last couple of years. You do see a tiny bit of a drop in the patient appointments and the lab appointments those first few years. That is kind of due to finding out that model, finding out what best fits the district and our employees, their spouses, and their dependents, really trying to figure out that piece with Parkview and FWCS and how it's going to benefit us both, especially us and our employees. As you can see, the percentage of the insured utilizing the clinic has tremendously increased in this last year. We were stuck around the 30 to 35% for a very long time. Last year was our highest at 43%. We have seen that increase across the board in all of our programs. When it comes to the lifestyle change specialist or our wellness coaches, we started out with 6 of those. Each building had a coach. The feeder schools, everything was in person. So in-person coaching, in-person fitness classes. And then, of course, we all were sent home for a little bit. We also adapted. We went to a lot of virtual. We went to a lot of parks. We went on socially distanced walking trips. But we were able to really advance in 2020. And still to this day, we still hold some of those virtual classes, which is very nice, especially during the day, a 10-minute stretch, a 10-minute meditation, lunchtime, those kind of things. So it's very beneficial. Last year, Parkview did do a little revamp on the coaching. So we still have 4 wellness coaches that are throughout our district. We now have access to 2 dietitians as well. So those dietitians can meet and meal plan and help people with specific diseases as well. We also have the ability for our coaches to help us with some programs within the clinics. So Healthy You is a 6-month program. It's one of our newer programs, but it focuses directly on the employee and their high-risk cost factors. So do you have a risk for diabetes? Do you have a risk for high blood pressure, hypertension, cardiac disease? And really looking at those chronic diseases per person and how you really catch those before they're too bad. Our weight loss program is a monthly check-in with the provider, the coach, the dietitian. It's medication management. We're not talking the high-priced GLP-1s. We're talking oral medications that they have at the clinic and then that they can also prescribe for minimal cost to the employee. The Diabetes Care Direct. This is those type 2 diabetics or those that aren't really controlled, those patients that might need a little bit of help understanding. So they will meet with the provider, the coach, the dietitian, whatever it takes to get them under control and have that medication management. We have a lot of those services in the clinic. So like, again, no out-of-pocket expense. When you're talking about benefits to the employee, services done at the clinic do not have an out-of-pocket expense because we're on a contracted price. So when we go get something done, lab, medication, there's no bill sent to Anthem. There's nothing of that sense. So the person is able to go in, have their provider get their lab drawn, and take their medication home that day. Quick appointments. So most of them can be done virtually anymore. So if they're in their prep period and they need a quick virtual appointment, or if they are sick and they need to be seen at 7 a.m. to be at work by 8 a.m. because it's not really anything that they can't come to work with, right? We don't want to come to work sick. On-site medications and lab draws. So those pieces where they walk out with those medications. So we have lots of different medications. And our wellness coaching. The wellness coaches do so many different programs, challenges. You can meet personally. They can hold you accountable, however you really want to use the wellness coach in your advantage. When it comes to our benefits for our district. So quick appointments, again, people can be seen same day. They can run for a lunch appointment. They can quickly get in and out. There's one provider, one patient. Most of the time you're waiting maybe a couple minutes while they're checking you in. You're quickly back and then you're out. Less absenteeism because they really are helping people with those chronic illness managements. So they're trying to get people to understand how to take care of themselves. So then our staff is in our buildings. Our teachers are teaching. We have less subs. Kids are learning from their teacher versus somebody else. Improved employee retention. Lots of times I hear this is an awesome benefit, especially when they didn't understand it, but now they might understand it. Or you're talking to a new employee and they're like, I've never heard of this. It's really beneficial if you're especially on those high deductibles and things where you're utilizing these kind of pieces. And then a decrease in healthcare cost. Because we've been able to stay very minimal with our price increase at the clinics, we have been able to see a substantial saving in our healthcare costs.
Gina, is there more specific data to back up those bullets?
Yes, we are going to talk about those.
Okay.
So in the years that we've had the clinics with Parkview, we've had a good yearly investment. Like our return has always been great. Our consultants are like, you're doing great. Healthcare costs rise. We all know that it is rising very high. But the clinic contract price is so minimal that we are not paying those prices that they are sending to Anthem or they're sending elsewhere. So based on the allotted amounts through Anthem, so everything that we have done in the last 9 years, if that would have generated a bill and been sent to Anthem, the savings is at least $4.6 million for the district. And I say at least because you never know how much they're really going to charge for a lab. You don't know how much overhead or what their draw fee or those kind of things. So that's kind of the conservative factor that we get from our consultants. The shared clinic, Parkview started this as their way of handling kind of employee clinics, so we still remain with our 2 clinics. The shared clinic piece is because we were hitting those high numbers. We're at 85 to 90% constantly in the last 5 months of utilizing our provider appointments. We weren't getting those same day. We weren't even getting the next day sometimes. So this way, we now have 5 more locations, 2 in Allen County, 3 in surrounding areas, with more growing. So they should be opening another one southwest within the next few months, so it'll give us more geographical location. I will say that in the 2 months that we have done this, they've seen over 450 of our patients alone, mostly in Georgetown. because we just didn't have anything out that way. And if we were ever going to expand, that was kind of where we were looking. And that population out there is just loving having the clinics out there. Same great service, same medications, labs, all of that kind of stuff as well.
And this is part of you say we're going to put them here, we're going to put them there.
They look at where their employee, like they have, I can't quote, but they have, let's say, 15 people in their shared clinics. They'll look at where their people that are buying into the clinics are and look at the populations. We look at our data and, where our people live, and it's kind of that North Crescent out into Maple Crest, that kind of area. So we knew that that area was populated with a lot of our employees. So every time that we have brought a new program in, or every time that we've had any increases in anything service-wise, it's just really been beneficial to our employees. Any questions?
So we're able to document the fact that we've saved $4.6 million. And do you have data that also backs up the fact that because of these clinics, there are fewer time off, weight lost, other data that might support what we're doing with Parkview?
I don't have the data in front of me. We can always
But
get
you do have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have ways of having that data.
So you're saying the 4.6 million, roughly over 9 years, that's roughly $500,000 a year? Does
In
that
minimum.
include our cost too?
Yeah, so that includes everything that we would have ever billed for. So provider
Our bill is
appointments.
$650,000 a year.
That is for the clinic
Right.
pieces, but then you have the medications, we get those at cost, so there's no markup to those. So whatever Parkview paid for that medication, we pay for that medication. And then the labs, we pay at a contracted rate, so we're not paying a lab draw fee, we're not paying any extra fees added on to a lab draw.
So those two you mentioned 3 areas, but those last 2 areas are where you're driving the 500,000 roughly a year at savings?
Yeah, because the provider appointments, if you have 500 appointments a month, they're not $100 each appointment. It's a contracted rate no matter how many times people go and utilize that clinic.
Do you guys offer telehealth?
We do. The virtual has been amazing for people. Because if you're sick and you don't want to go out and all you have to do is run in and grab that script at no cost to yourself, or if you want to grab it on the way home, it's very beneficial.
And then where are you guys offering fitness classes and all that stuff? I missed that.
They're all over the place. We do parks. We have them here at Grile. We have them in the buildings. We have them at one of the local churches does pickleball for us in the winter, but then they'll have pickleball outside in some of the parks. So it's really virtual as well. They're just anywhere that they can find time to have them and a spot to have them.
Based on employee feedback, is there a service we're not delivering now that they wish that we would?
We've asked that over the years, and every time that they've said yes, we've figured out with Parkview, how can we bring that into the clinic? So we look at our aggregate data all the time to really figure out how we can bring a program in. We're hypertensive right now. What's the next program? We're weight
Parkview's
loss.
been responsive.
Yes.
And this is made available to which employees?
Employees who are on our insurance plan, their spouses and their dependents. So it's roughly 2,500 employees, plus their spouses and dependents.
So I saw the data you showed of recently the increase of our employees using that. How have you put that message out to them to get them? So like I know we have a new onboarding system and all that. How are we getting that message out to our employees?
The onboarding is one piece. Another piece is some videos that I have done that are very short videos that explain what is coaching, what is the wellness clinics, how do you handle those, and how do you get into those, what does self-funded mean, because that's a big thing a lot of people don't understand. And then this year's is one of our other benefits, Healthcare Blue Book. What is that and how do I use that? And just trying to educate people on all these benefits that they are essentially helping to pay for. How do I utilize them? How do I get to this? And how can it help me?
I recently had a conversation with one of our employees who was hedging towards diabetic and couldn't thank us enough for this service because she fell into all 3 of those categories that you had on there, the Healthy You, and fortunately is back into healthy ranges, has lost some weight. So all of those services, I just wanted to let you all know that she
thanked us for providing that. And so if that's just one person that speaks up, I know that we're doing good for all. So I hope that we get that message out of how to utilize those, and we can keep sending that message.
Yes,
So,
thank you for sharing.
You mentioned a number of visits. What, do you have a sense of utilization? So if we have 2,500 employees, is that 600 employees are showing up regularly? Is that 100?
So it is about 600 employees, spouses or dependents per month. So we actually just had our data information today for January, and we were at 95% at our Auburn location, which is always our best location, and they had seen about 430 people just at that location. This past month was the highest number of people we've ever seen in the clinics with the shared Catalpa and Auburn, over 700 people.
So you've mentioned a couple different ways of how the clinic has saved the district dollars. How do you, I know you can't project this, but what do you see for that, those who are getting healthier? Because we all know that there's only one way to save in insurance, and that's cut things or reduce fees or get healthier. So how do you see that projection of our employees being healthier to be possibly even more savings for the district and for our employees?
Over the years, we've had lots of people that have come to us and said, hey, if I wouldn't have had this lab draw, or if I wouldn't have gone in because I didn't feel right, I could have died, or I would have had a heart attack because I had blockage in the worst artery possible. So we get some of that feedback in places that you can't put measurable amounts on some of that, right? But then you get people that are like, I just feel so much better. I'm more alert. I'm happier to be at work. I'm happier to be at home because I just have all of these resources. And then I can take my kids and I can get, all of the help for them as well. It's the stories we hear, of course, always have impact. Our school nurses hear lots of stories because they're right there with them. But the pieces that I get back, monthly are, we love this service. This is great. You found the right providers, the people that listen to us, they care about us. So I think just overall, it's just a benefit and beneficial to so many of our employees.
You mentioned Blue Book. How does that work?
Healthcare Blue Book. So it is one of the benefits under compensation benefits, but it is a program that the district has went into a contract with. So if you look up a procedure prior to having it done, for instance, a colonoscopy, and you look it up and you go to one of the green valued places, so let's say Parkview Southwest, not Parkview Hospital, Parkview Southwest, and you go and have your procedure there, then you would eventually get $100 back on a gift card. No cost to the district because we're into this program. Mammograms, ear tubes, stent placements. I mean, there is a list of services that you can get money back into your pocket to either help you pay for your deductible, or you could spend it however you wanted to. But it's a benefit as long as they look up that procedure prior to, then they would get money back in their own pocket.
How many employees do we think are actually utilizing that service?
Well, it's picked up quite a bit. My video came out in January, and I would say, oh my goodness, I'd need a report, but I know that the last report I got last year, we missed quite a lot of things that we could have done, but people are signing up constantly. They're always like, I didn't know I could get this money back. I didn't know I could do that. And it's very simple. It's an app. I mean, you're in the doctor's office. They tell you what you're going to have. You're like, hey, I looked it up. It's good for a year. So even if I choose not to have the colonoscopy till August, I'm covered because I've looked it up already. I can't give you a number, but I can certainly look that number up.
But it's increasing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have HCMU videos on this stuff, wellness and employee benefits and that kind of stuff?
So there's an employee wellness intranet page that has all the little videos that I talk about for the coaches, the clinics, all of that. I have interviews with the providers. And then the newest one, the Blue Book, is actually on our Vector page for the employees to see.
And then what are we getting for our $722,000 a year? I mean, is that just the space? Is that employees? Is that the equipment involved? What all is involved? in
So that is the provider fees. You've got registered nurses, LPNs, MAs. So
Outside of our,
this is all Parkview staff.
Okay.
This is not our staff. This is all Parkview staff. So you're getting all of those services. You're paying for the coaching services, the programs, all of the people piece of it. That is what contracted with Parkview means, is the
so how many
employee.
people is that functionally, let's say at Auburn?
At Auburn, full-time would probably be 1.5 providers, and then you're looking at probably 3 MAs, but they all travel to different places. So,
And that's on top of the 4 in school and 2 dietitians?
and then you've also got the registered nurse that travels between them all as a manager, and then the MAs that go to the different facilities as well.
And is this paid out of operation funds?
Yes.
Operation funds, okay. Another one.
Thanks, Gina.
I have to say that before I had to change insurance due to the unfortunate occurrence of getting older. I was on Fort Wayne Community School insurance, and starting the clinic, it was such a convenience to have that available, to be able to get a prompt appointment, same day, basic medications free. I mean, that's a wonderful advantage for our employees and retirees.
I see one of our quietest members up here at the table with a lot of grins on this. You must be a user of the services, Ms. Filler, is that correct? And if so, would you describe your experience?
Superintendent stretch. We virtually do it, we call everybody on our floor, come on, we're stretching.
Nice.
It's nice to have that little break every once in a while.
I just want to make sure that I understand. So we have 2 clinics that are
That are ours
Our clinics,
only.
and
So
so-
nobody else besides FWCS staff can utilize those
okay.
clinics.
But then there are those 5 additionals that, for example, if they, because it's so busy, maybe it's this time of the year and everybody's sick, they can then spill over into them.
Yep.
Okay, great. It's fabulous.
Where in Georgetown is that?
Right there.
It's right on
Where the
State
old
Street,
halls was.
where the old halls was.
Remember the old halls?
Yeah.
Right there.
Parkview has a walk-in clinic, and then they have,
Right by Subway.
it's right across from Kroger.
Okay.
I thought that was in, yeah, okay.
Oh, I know where you're at now.
I thought it was, but yeah.
Between Dunkin' and Subway.
Yep.
So they
And
moved
that
from
pause
across the
there
street.
for everybody.
It was in the corner where Dollar General was for a long time.
No, that was Women's Health Advantage.
Oh, you're right. My mistake. Okay. So it's by Subway.
In that, retail mall
Yeah.
area.
Just right across the street. Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Didn't mean to argue with you, Angie.
And
I'm old. so-
we still need to vote on this, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then that leads us to our presentation for this evening. Health and Wellness Services report this evening will include data on school nursing services, community partnerships, and new initiatives, including a Medicaid update and student wellness. Mary Hess, Director of Health and Wellness, Gina Dundon, Wellness Coordinator, and Candace Disler, Nurse Coordinator, will be presenting and are available for questions.
You are getting all things medical this evening, so you're going to feel so well when you walk out of here. My name is Mary Hess, and I'm the Director of Health and Wellness for Fort Wayne Community Schools. And I am really grateful to be able to come and give you a report on my department. I'm extraordinarily proud of my team. Several of them are here as representatives of the nurses tonight, but we have a team of nurses and health aides that I think give high-quality care all the time. I did ask one of our nurses if she would just maybe tell her story about what motivates her to come and work at Fort Wayne Community Schools and deliver healthcare services. Her name is Jackie Deermeyer. She's the Lincoln nurse, and she is in this clip, so hopefully I'm cueing someone to run that clip for you.
I'm Jackie Deerheimer, and I am the school nurse at Lincoln Elementary. Day-to-day starts off usually with some meds, the morning meds for my students here at Lincoln, and seeing kids who probably aren't feeling the greatest, but we're trying to give school a try today. So I think What motivates me is just the love for the kids and the community. There's nothing like being a school nurse. It's kind of being the mom of the building. They come to you when they're most at need, when you're not feeling good, when you've been hurt. And the only thing you want is just somebody to love you and make you feel better. So it's quite a good feeling to be able to serve our community in that way.
Hi.
Illustrates that it is kind of a work of heart in order to come to schools, and her attitude is so appreciated. I did bring you some data so you could take a look at where we've been and where we're going. I'm sure you know that we've been extremely busy, and it might surprise you to hear last school year we saw more than 250,000 students and staff in our clinic. So those are encounters with the nurses and the health aides. 269,981 visits, if you really want the specifics. That is an increase of 2.5% over the prior school year and 11% over the year before that. We have seen steady growth in this area, just like the clinics, with the exception of the COVID year when nobody saw anybody, but we really constantly see increase. You can kind of see, especially our January numbers on there, I kind of expect we're on track to meet the same sort of levels that we saw last year if we don't exceed them. One thing that's really interesting, we've seen a big increase in chronic illnesses, and these are complex sorts of things that require specialized training, a written care plan. These are also the pool of students where we could perhaps bill for some of the Medicaid, for some of the nursing services, and we saw an 11% increase last year, so 60,630 visits last year for chronic illness, and that just continues to rise also. I do have a little clip on this one as well. It's one of our nurses at Portage Middle School that's just going to let you see the kinds of things she teaches to our diabetic students.
Hey, my name is Kelly Kleber, and I'm the school nurse at Portage Middle School. And one of my functions is teaching students about their diabetic care. While students are newly diagnosed, what I try to teach is about symptoms, the lows, the highs, what to watch for. I help students count their carbohydrates at their mealtime, and then help them put their blood sugars in and calculate their insulin. When their Dexacoms and Omnipods aren't working, then we kind of have to do it the old-fashioned way with them poking their fingers. And sometimes when students are not used to poking their fingers, it's teaching them again how to milk their finger and to let gravity do its work. So although it might seem simple, just poking their finger, calculating their insulin, there's a lot more steps to make sure that a student's diabetes is truly controlled. And this is a lifestyle change, so teaching the students that this is not the end of the world. You just have to learn how to go through life in just a little bit different way.
I don't know how many of you have ever had an unstable blood sugar, but it's really difficult to think if it's too high or too low. You can see the importance of having that well regulated in a school setting. And what Kelly said is exactly true. It's a lifestyle thing that we really have to do each and every day. And so our nurses are really valuable when it comes to that. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about our partnerships and new initiatives. And these things are things that probably would not happen if we didn't have community partners. They don't cost the district any money. Some of them you've heard about before. I know the FACE nurses were kind of highlighted a little bit when Student Services presented last fall. But they keep their data at FACE. They're Parkview nurses, so they keep their data on a calendar year. They had an exceptional year. They have given more immunizations and saw more students at FACE than they ever have before. Many of these non-English speaking families who are new not just to the district but to the community, they do a fabulous job of connecting to a lot of other community agencies that they need, people who supply food and connect to health care. It's extremely valuable to our families. They also got the Innovative Research Award from Parkview Hospital for that project that they did with infant safety and is now in all 8th grade. So that just tooting their horn a little bit. I wanted to tell you a little bit about our newest partner, and that is Lange Optical. You know that we do vision screening every year. The nurses do traditional screening at a variety of grades. But every year I do have to write for a waiver because we are not able to provide MCT exam. It stands for Modified Clinical Technique. And the law says we're supposed to give it in 1st grade, but it has to be done by a licensed optometrist. With 33 buildings, it's extremely hard to get anybody to make that sort of commitment. So we'd have someone who would do it for a year in one school, and then, maybe we wouldn't see them again. So Lange Optical did a pilot with us this spring. We've done about a dozen schools trying to iron out all the bubbles, and they have made a commitment to do all FWCS schools next fall. So I think that's extraordinary, and it's wonderful to have them on board as a partner. They also helped us with another problem at the beginning of the school year. I was always a little smug saying we could help any child get glasses, and then our funding source dried up, which was really disappointing. But Lange decided that they would give us a low-cost option for kids to get the exam and the glasses. And St. Joe Community Health Foundation, who has been a wonderful partner over the years, gave us funding to do 100 students for their glasses and their exam. We didn't have those funds until January because of the grant cycle, but we have already given out 15 of those 100, and we're only in the early February. So I just think they've been a wonderful partner. You've heard a lot about SuperShot. They do a lot with the face nurses. They also do our flu mist program, which we've had in place for numerous years now. Anything to prevent the flu is a win. It's been a horrible flu season for everyone. I think the hospitals just shut off all their visitation because it's been so high. So it's really wonderful to get protection for those kids. They also helped us with our staff immunizations. And this really does go back to that whole partnership thing. They delivered the vaccine to us, but it was our school nurses who actually administered to staff. And really, all of these partnerships, wonderful as they are, could not happen if there was not a school nurse in the building who coordinated and made all those things actually happen. So it truly is a team approach. We are going to try something new. This is a little bit of a commercial for staff. The end of February, we're going to start offering Tdap, which is a tetanus and whooping cough vaccine. It's very important for the elderly like myself, and also for new parents and new grandparents. And then they did drop the pneumonia recommendation to age 50. We have plenty of people in our school district that, are between 50 and 65 or have an underlying health condition. They could get those. Pneumonia has been rampant this year. We've had numerous students and staff out with pneumonia. So this kind of an effort, outside the box thinking, does keep our staff in school. Last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about telehealth, and then I will hand it over to Candace to give you an update on Medicaid. I teased this one, I think, last fall when I talked a little bit. This one's still in its infancy stage, but we have done a handful of both mental health and physical health exams in our schools. They have gone extremely well. Parents have been extremely happy with it. They can both consent and attend the visit on their phone. We do have a little clip from one of the nurses at Price Elementary, Abby Knobel. This was because she did a recent visit with one of our students, if someone could play that.
I'm Abby Knoblo. I'm the school nurse here at Price Elementary. Basically, what we're showing you is that we can now do a Zoom call with pediatricians, with doctors, on the computer, on an iPad, and so that the doctor can assess the student. We would do all of the vital signs. We can do some tests here. We can test the student for COVID, for strep, for flu, and then we would send all these results to the physician, and they will look over it with the computer and can call in a prescription, so the parent does not even need to physically take their student to the doctor. So that helps the student get a prescription if they need it, to get care, and the parent would just need to pick up a prescription.
Our partner for this project is Neighborhood Health Clinic. They are a federally qualified health clinic, which means they take all insurance, including Medicaid, and for those who are uninsured, can be seen on a sliding scale based on income. That is nothing that we handle. That's something that they handle, and parents know that up front, but they work with families very well, translation services, you name it. So
the school nurse can have the parent and the doctor visually at the same time?
Yep. Technology's great. It really is. And it's very, very helpful to our families that do have access problems. Now, the reason it hasn't grown tremendously yet, to be totally transparent, is we're still filling out what the bandwidth is for our nurses, who, like you know, very busy, and also neighborhood health, they're trying to integrate this into their daily workflow. So we don't want to break anybody, but we are hoping over time that, we could scale this up and it could be in all 50 buildings. We have it in 20 right now. We'll have it in 30 by the end of this semester, but we have the equipment to do 50. So by next year, we should be up and running across the board.
And how was that decided with schools?
I'm sorry?
How was it decided with schools were?
We tried to pick, a little bit of it was who was willing to take the first bullet and help us iron things out. There was a piece of that. So we had some experienced staff. I have some nurses on the team that have worked in doctors' offices, and that was really helpful to iron out our processes. But we try to go needs-based if we can, where we think there'd be the most access.
Remind me before you leave, do we have nurses in every school?
We don't have them in every, kind of. We have a nurse responsible for every school. We still have some smaller schools that have 2 school assignments. And what happens there is we have a health aide that works in tandem with them. So there's someone from our department in every building every day. The nurse and health aide flip-flop so that everybody really knows the population that they're serving, because the relationship is absolutely key to making all this work.
So how many buildings is that we don't have a full-fledged nurse but a health aide in?
We have 39 school-based nurses, and that does not include the FACE nurses or the nurses on our team over at Anthus in our central office. Now I'm going to turn it over. I know you want to hear this from Candace Deisler, our nurse coordinator. I have to give her just a little bit of a commercial because she was absolutely fabulous in trying to figure out this process. And I think you're all aware, she had absolutely no help from the state whatsoever on this. So everything that has been, sorry, but there has been no guidance. There has been no database to store any of this. So she's been working on getting all the players to come together so we can successfully bill for nursing services. Candace?
Thanks. So, as you are all aware, in July of 2023, the state came out with a bill that would allow public schools to bill for nursing services for Medicaid for those in the gen ed population as well as special ed population. As long as an RN or an LPN had delivered that care, we cannot bill for those services that we delegate to other individuals to provide. Students that are eligible are those that are current on their Medicaid. They have to be under the age of 18. They have to have a working IEP, an individualized health plan, or a 504 in place. Other processes, or in addition to that, we have to have an up-to-date parental consent. This is different from those that we have for special ed services for OT, PT, and speech. And that we're delivering medical care, so we do have to have an additional consent on file for that. We also have to have a physician a prescription, so a physician has to write that the child needs nursing services while they're in school. We have to have an IHP or a 504 on file and a release of information that allows our nurse to communicate back and forth with the physician. This can be a more complicated process than that for OT, PT, and speech, and that nursing services have to be billed in duration. So we can only bill out for a 15-minute duration. We can start at 8 and round up, but we do have to, it's not like check mark the box. In addition to that, general ed students are not in the IEP system, and that is how our district has been billing for services over time. So we did not have access to that, and we had no way of utilizing the services that were already in place. So systems for reimbursement. What we are currently using is the Frontline third-party biller, which special ed services was using prior for OT, PT, and speech. And they were also using School Care, which is the electronic health record system that our nurses utilize on a daily basis to chart services they delivered for students. What happens is every month our school care peeps, they pull out a file and they give it to our people in technology, and then those individuals put it into Frontline for us to send out those services. There have been a little bit of bumps in the road here and there. Obviously, technology is great when it is working, but we have had some bumps, but we have figured those out. The barriers, obviously, the state had a Medicaid toolkit, but unfortunately that didn't really give us direction. We really had to create this from the ground up. And it was a lot of work, and it has honestly been a lot of work on our nursing team because they have to collect those consents. They have to speak to the parents. They have to make sure that we have an up-to-date physician script on file. They have to update the IHP and make sure that we are on a regular basis analyzing that, seeing if we need to update those doctor's orders. So it is a lot of work on our nurses, and they really do the brunt of the work. And it is on a larger scale, right, because our district is so large. Once we did identify the students that were eligible, we were able to have school care pull those reports, again, and put those into Frontline for services. The great news, the good news, is we have been successful, and I will say we wouldn't have been able to do this without our nursing staff. We are the first district in the state of Indiana to bill for nursing services at this large scale for gen ed population. So hats off to our nursing team because we couldn't have done it without them. In spring of 2024, we started billing for nursing services, and we chose to start with diabetes care, which is a chronic illness that we see on average every year. We have about 70 type 1 diabetics in our district. We started billing for services March to June, and during that time, we were able to get a reimbursement of a little over $40,000. For the 2024-25 school year, we decided to be brave and add more diagnoses and chronic illnesses that our nurses care for every day. And as you can see that list on the slide there on the left are chronic illness care that our nurses do deliver on a daily basis. This included for the school year so far 88 students and 27 different buildings across the district, and total reimbursements for August to November have been $60,000. This does not include errors that we may have found that we do have time to fix. Our nurses are very diligent. We have gotten better at charting the same way across the board to kind of decrease some of those errors. Some of them were just technological that I had to work with school care in fixing. Couldn't tell you the tech terms, I could tell you med terms. But we have fixed those, and the good news is that we can retro bill on a 6-month period. So we are estimating really that we could see by the end of the school year from $200,000 to $250,000 in reimbursements for Medicaid, for billing for Medicaid for nursing services. The long-term goal, obviously, is to get this a little bit more streamlined, have our technology interface a little bit better so it's more automatic pull, and obviously less errors, and then also to continue to add more nursing services that we do on a daily basis now that we have our feet wet a little bit and we have been successful. So.
It sounds like the long-term goal is to sell this to other school districts, don't you?
I have had the pleasure of working with some other school districts.
Don't give it away.
Meg from Huntington, we're all in this together. IPS, really honestly, we had no direction. So I kind of took that Medicaid toolkit and saw, okay, well, we need this, this, and this. How can I create a form that we can utilize to show and document, that we are doing things the way that law wants us to, right? So we can show what we do as a team and bill for these services. It's huge. It was definitely a big project, but a lot of work for them, and I'm just glad that they didn't throw stones at me because it added a lot to their plate, but we have been successful, and I'm so proud of our team for all the work we've done.
So how many other districts are doing it now, do you know?
So
IPS has helped, they're very interested, and they're probably closest. Huntington, of all places, they do bill for a little bit only within the special ed population, because they don't have school care to pull that daily thing that we're doing, that documentation. But they're an awful lot interested, and I know people are interested in having Candace come talk at the nurses conference next summer.
That'll cost you them about $200,000.
Right? I should charge. No, I feel like we're all in this together. But any other questions for me that you can think
if
of?
we have a special education student who's older than 18?
We cannot bill.
I have bill for that.
No, we cannot bill for that. They have to be under the age of 18. Yeah. And they cannot have, the other thing that makes it difficult, they might have Medicaid, but they might have a secondary private insurance. So if they have a secondary insurance, we can't bill for those students either.
Interesting rules. The other thing we found out is the bill that we send, you only get a portion back, which we expected the numbers to be a little higher, but we don't get the state portion, which is why I always find it so curious that there are so many rules around the state's laws for Medicaid, because we really only get the federal portion. Very interesting to find that out.
Where's the state money going that is short?
Any sense of that?
I thought Medicaid was a pass-through program from the federal government anyways.
States get to write the rules, though, and they're all different.
So they're just keeping 30%.
What do you, and you mentioned expanding services, what services do you see to be offered next, or that you're going to try and tackle next through the?
So the next one that we're going to try and tackle that I've started to work on, because again, you have to write an IHP, which it used to be 1 page, it's now 3. There's more that goes into it.
Is that for every student/patient?
Every diagnosis on the left that you see there has to have a specific IHP that follows the law, that we can prove that we are also reviewing on an annual basis, quarterly basis, that has nursing diagnoses with objectives to it. So it takes a minute to get everything, but the one I am working on right now that we would like to roll out here pretty soon is a diagnosis of ADD and ADHD. Our nurses see kids every day with this diagnosis, and we really are a great resource for education. As you could see with some of the videos we shared with you today, those kids see us every day, teaching them about self-advocacy, how to recognize your pill, why they take that. Is it making you feel better, or is it not working? Having meetings with teachers and meeting with teachers to actually see how they are performing in the classroom. Is it really effective? Do we need to notify the doctor, which is why we have that ROI, that release of information, and to notify the doctor that maybe it's not being effective, and maybe that dose needs increased. So there's so many things that we do that it's hard to paint that picture, right? Because our nurses are really busy and they're hard workers and really root for kids. So, but that is on the agenda.
You said 3 pages for each, I'll call it illness per student, or just overall illness?
Per diagnosis.
Okay, so
Yep.
we're going to do ADHD, this is diagnosis, this is the 3
It's about
page.
3 pages.
This is what we're going to follow and do, okay.
Yep.
So what, from 1 page to 3 pages?
Yes, because there's so much more involved in it. I tried to make it a little easier on our team by creating drop-down boxes that already has written diagnoses and outcomes in it. They obviously also have the option of creating that other drop-down box and writing specific individualized student needs as well, but there's a lot more involved. Yeah.
Sounds like you're more technologically advanced than you think you are.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Is this business process a possible assignment for our AMP-Lab students?
Not a bad thought. I mean, those students
Isn't
are
that what they're
pretty
doing
good.
all the time?
I think we could ask. The only thing we'd have to be careful about
Student
is
information.
not disclosing,
Yeah, I thought about that, the confidentiality. But I mean, in developing the system without names, could they develop the infrastructure that?
I have great recommendations.
Yeah, I have to say our technology team has been a wonderful help to me. Anytime, Jen or Ryan McAtee, anytime I've needed help pulling data for me so I could look at it to see how we tackle things, they've been right there at my fingertips. They've been a huge help, so I have to give hats off to them too, because I bother them quite a bit. And then our school care, our EHR system, they've been wonderful too.
So we served 14 students in the first year and 88 students so far this year. What do you project the market capacity to be?
What?
Do you have any sense of that?
It's a big question, but it has to do with diagnoses. I will tell you the data I do know off the top of my head, because I have been working on ADD and ADHD. I had pulled possibility or eligible students, 1,200 students for that diagnosis alone, which is huge.
But then all of those pieces have to come together, and but as
Takes
we get
time.
better, I think that we'll see that scale in a nicer way.
Definitely.
How about asthma care, allergy care? I think that would be a higher.
We do have a lot of asthma and allergy care, but again, you have to think about that duration piece. A majority of the nursing...
Remind me on that duration piece.
So it has to be in 15-minute increments, but we can start at 8. We can start billing at 8 minutes. So a majority of our asthma care that we have been successful in billing for this year are our elementary kids, because they take more time. It's not as controlled. They're it's an early diagnosed. A lot of times they have a script to have the asthma inhaler given prior to recess or prior to gym to prevent an asthma attack. So we're seeing more of that billable services there in asthma in the elementary level kids. Allergy, it would be more of an anaphylactic event, which obviously we don't want, right? We want to avoid those. Same with seizures, epilepsy diagnoses. So those are going to be events where we have an IHP, the student is eligible, they have Medicaid, and they might have an event at school to where our nurses are caring for that child, maybe giving them their emergency medication to stop the seizure from continuing. So those are types of things. They're not going to be as often as a diabetes diagnosis who's seeing the nurse every day, if that makes sense. Hopefully I explained that, okay?
No, it's good.
School care, I should have put on my list as a wonderful partner as well, because we don't pay them.
No,
They're
it's free.
free to public school districts. And they've been so willing to help us work out the technology piece, because they want to see us succeed and protect nursing positions by getting the funding. And so they've been a wonderful partner too.
And overall nursing funding comes from which fund, Rosie? Education or operations?
Up until this year, it came from the education fund. This year, Medicaid is totally paying all nurses in 25.
Medicaid's paying all nurses? For Fort Wayne Community Schools? Or is that throughout the state?
Just Fort Wayne Community. That's where we've allocated them this year.
I'm glad we don't have to ask that next year.
So nurses, you do more than put Band-Aids on kids, huh?
Yes.
I just want to tell you, well, I have a second, thank you. Thank you all for showing up here tonight and the support that you give our students every single day. I know it's not board comments, but it is part of this right now. And you've done tremendous work. I think that we're very lucky to have every one of you in that department. Oh, there's still more?
Yeah.
Great, I can't wait to hear more.
I'm going to reintroduce Gina, our wellness coordinator. She's going to talk about all the awesome stuff she does with student wellness.
The other part of my job is students. So our student wellness, this is a snapshot. Our schools are doing so much more than I could even put on a slideshow. These are just some of the bigger projects that we have or have been grant funded for these. None of these have costed us anything through the district. So the cooking in the classroom started about 3 years ago. Our 7th graders were missing that hands-on piece of kitchen safety, cooking recipes, those kind of things. So it's expanded a lot. And I'm going to let Mr. Parker over at Portage tell you a little bit about it.
Program a couple years back where we do 1 week of cooking in the classroom with the students, teaching some healthy eating, some healthy living, and it's grown over time. They keep getting different partners working with us. Parkview Health was part of it last year. This year, McMillan Health Center is working with us to develop the curriculum and actually send some trainers out for the first 2 days of it to help us get it kicked off. I've got culinary students coming from the Anthus Career Center helping out throughout the day. Other volunteers in the community coming in. So it's really growing. It's a great program that the kids really enjoy. And it tends to bring most people from the building into my room at some point throughout the week.
Everybody wants to try it. But it's been highly successful for our kids to get that hand-on training that they just haven't received for a while here. Classroom teaching, nurses go in different times to do all sorts of different kinds of classroom teaching. Playworks, we are getting ready to do another training on that on the March 17th PL Day. We were awarded the Health First Allen County grant to cover this. So these elementaries will send representatives from the teachers, the admin, the classified assistants, whoever helps on the playground will go to this training. And it just kind of helps teach them not to structure recess, but how do I get more involved? How do I have the kids get more involved? Kids learn self-advocacy, they learn conflict resolution. There's so much that happens on the playground that comes into the classroom. So how can I handle it on the playground so I'm ready to learn when recess is over? McMillan Health is doing vaping education. Vaping has been on the increase for a while. They made a program, the Health First Allen County grant, and a grant from Melissa Richards' team is paying for this. The knowledge they've already learned, so our middle school kids are reporting about a 70 to 80% increase in the knowledge from the pre to the post test that they didn't understand or know. Our third graders are at like a 79%. So the younger they understand what they're doing, what it is, and what's happening to them, the less likely, hopefully, that they would pick up a vape and start vaping. Tower Gardens, we've been working on those forever. We've grant funded over 55 of them. No cost to the district to supply those. They love those. Every year, every cycle, they move from a classroom or they move to where the whole building can do it. So those have been a big hit. Parkview Wellbeing Team is a huge partner for us. Harvest of the Month, we get fresh, straight out of the ground or straight off the tree or straight off the vine fruits and vegetables that deliver to 3 of our schools. Kids get to see it in the raw form. Like, well, what is that? And they get to see it cut into. They get to learn nutrition facts about that. And it's been very nice. This is our 3rd year, so every year I try to pick different elementary schools so we can spread it out. Healthy for You is a program that they did last year with Scott, Abbott, and Adams, and they had about 40 families involved, and every month they came in and learned a little bit about chronic illnesses, obesity, hypertension. Their family came together, so it was a family night. And then they walked away with a $50 voucher to take that and go buy fresh produce and fresh vegetables for their house. Again, no cost to us, just a partnership. We supply the families. And then Taking Root, we've been working on for 9 years. This is where schools get to earn money. So they put on 2 or 3 small challenges, mood things, bingo, movement, just different challenges. Do I take care of myself? Do I brush my hair, brush my teeth, comb my hair? Those kind of things. Did I do these things? Do I understand gratitude? All those kind of things wrapped up into Taking Root. Schools can earn anywhere from $200 to $2,000, depending on kind of how they participate in this. Then all they have to do is use it on wellness, recess money, gym equipment, a field trip. One school took a field trip. Anything wellness, nurses' items for the clinics, whatever it is that the school needs to take care of their kids. So those are just some of the benefits of our student wellness, but we're always happy to help our kids.
Do you guys consult with Felipe over at Nutrition Services about menus and stuff?
Yes. Menus is more Felipe's alley. He has his rules and things he has to follow on, but we do work with Felipe's group a lot on different various things. Actually, they're helping me with the cooking in the classroom for me this year, too.
You mentioned many different things that said grant funds.
Mm-hmm.
You may not know this number tonight, but if you can get us the number, how many of those grants are competitive grants that you get versus not? Like I said, I'm not expecting you to know that number.
I can get you that, but I would say anything I've written with the state and anything that I have written, Health First Allen County, they have all been competitive. I would say maybe 1 or 2 have not been competitive over the 9 years.
Thank you. Did everybody hear how great those programs are for everybody and what they do?
What do you see as your biggest challenges, either one of you?
For me, for student wellness, or for...
Any one of you.
Okay. For me, for student wellness is finding the time. You know, we want our kids to learn. We want our kids to get their academics. So we're trying to find pieces that we can get into. So you're doing math facts. Can you do them while you're standing? Can you do them while you're moving around the classroom? Can you have, you know, you go find this number and it's over there versus sitting at your desk constantly, because we know that when kids move, they actually do absorb more because they're not just sitting. So finding those times for student wellness inside the classroom, not just recess or an assembly or those kind of things.
The most important thing for me would be, and Candace I think would agree with this, is just making sure we have a stable nursing force, because like I said, almost all of these projects, we can bring partners along, but to get consistent operations across the district, you need someone to run point who's passionate about the idea. And if we have them, I think we have the biggest first ingredient to all of these things. So.
Thanks.
I'd also add that you also are hearing incentives to do this, i.e. the more they can find resources, the more the programs grow and support. Also, Mary's talked about, Dr. LaSalle, for instance. So she is very interested in working with us, she happens to be my physician, so anyway. So I plugged it, and I said, hey, we've got to do some more of this. How do we do this? And so they were very interested in sitting down and talking to us. And we think of wellness, yes, it's nutrition, it's exercise, it's those health things, but also mental health. Yes. So that's the other piece, and that's where Dr. Robbins is coming on board, and we've sat down with Parkview, and I don't know if you're part of that discussion, but you probably do need to be part of that team. Because who knows, maybe there's also Medicaid reimbursement for the mental health side. So, and i.e. our licensed therapists using the tool that they've been using, how does that spread to them? And now you have the documentation that can roll over to some reimbursement. So.
Melissa and I work very closely together. There's a lot of overlap between mental and physical health. And she actually did use some of their grant money to expand that school care module that's free to school nurses, but did not have a robust charting system for therapists. But they are building that. And it's a national company. There are several modules that they have that they've worked very closely with FWCS to develop, because everyone's interested in these things. And so I really think that's going to help that mental health piece, especially if we get to billing. And again, school care, no cost to us, which is just great. So
appreciate their being on that cutting edge, moving that forward. And as you know, I think you've been having a common theme here. The funds aren't going to be there, so how do we generate those funds in an indirect way, but are going to have a direct impact on our kids. So thank you.
Thank you. We know we kept you long. Thank you for not getting out the cane.
Do you have any sense of why we're not getting that 30 cents from the state?
I don't know why it's different state to state, but this was a topic at the state conference last year for school nurses. And a consultant from Illinois came, he had worked extensively within their law and ours, talked about how Illinois was different than Indiana. And he's the one that told us, there are no state funds for you in Indiana. We just get the federal portion.
Interesting, thank you.
So I would think they'd want us to bill for everything.
They don't want to pay for it.
No. What did they do? Okay. That leads us to board member comments. Steve.
Yes, two things. First of all, I wanted to thank Darren Hess, our Director of Facilities. He was here earlier, and I know we received information about architectural changes, adjustments to the Snyder Stadium with respect to the women's restroom, and that there will be, I don't know what the official term is, additional stalls. Is that the right word? I think I go to too many sporting venues and facilities like the Embassy where I see women standing in these godly long lines, and I just didn't want that to happen at a new facility of ours. So I guess the only concession is that the field will not only be 90 yards long, is that right? Giving up 10 yards? No. Secondly, Jennifer Mathias and I sit on the Fort Wayne Redevelopment Commission, and we had a meeting earlier this afternoon, and the commission did something they've never done before, and that is that representing the city of Fort Wayne, they entered into an agreement with East Allen Schools for $2.5 million over 25 years, in which the district will get some of the increased tax funds, the TIF funds, from the Google project in Adams County. 25 years, $2.5 million, and it's for workforce training and education funds, and it's never been done before. And what the two of us argued is that in subsequent projects within our district, that we would love to see that type of money come to us for those types of activities. So I think it's a good thing. I mean, it's going to be really predicated on the city determining that there is additional dollars to move our way. But our argument, and Jennifer argued about this, is that, hey, this makes sense. We can build buildings, but you're going to need people to run those facilities. So hopefully we see that, right, Jennifer?
Absolutely. So apparently it was part of the statute all along that we've just, and my information was Google actually brought that to the attention because they wanted to help with workforce and provide for education. And so I think it's a wonderful precedent to be set for future as we're looking at new employers coming into our city and building, that we really stay on top of that and see what we can get for help. I mean, all those employers need workforce, so why won't they help us train those workforce too? So, yeah.
And I've heard of other districts in Indiana sharing in, TIF funds, and I kind of always wondered why,
So it was exciting. I'm
here,
happy
so-
for East Allen, but I would really rather be happy for us in the future.
And I think somehow we need to thank the mayor and the redevelopment director and other people to say thank you and keep it up. And
absolutely.
So the next big project within the city of Fort Wayne Community Schools, hey, we're happy to take some of that money.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Tony?
Just want to say thank you all that presented tonight. Just, it's always great to hear the things that are happening in the schools and ways that we're helping our students and then staff as well. But other than that, no comments.
Yeah, same thing. Thank you to all of our nurses and our wellness department. You're certainly doing a lot of great things for our students and staff. And it's good to hear that good news. And shout out to our entertainment before the meeting tonight, the Northrop Sinfonia. Is that correct? For under the direction of Brian Smith for providing us with some entertainment before the meeting. They're very good.
I'd echo what everybody has said, and thank you particularly to the nurses and my good friends Michelle Lutz, who likes to give me a stab or two every couple of years. And I also want to thank Miss Jenny Blackburn and Beth Wood from East Allen County. Another shout out to East Allen County. They went down on behalf of East Allen County and in theory us as well, and testified at a committee about the fact that designating our roles as Republicans or Democrats is a bad idea. I was not able to attend. I did hear from other sources, though, that 25 different people or groups spoke, and only one person or group spoke in favor, and 24 did not.
From out of state spoke in favor.
The one person was from out of state?
Yes.
Okay. And I think I mentioned last time, but my understanding is that's been very consistent the last 3 or 4 years this bill has come up. Conversely, the committee that heard the New Haven casino pulled their proposal because there were 20 against and 10 in favor. So 10 against and 20 in favor versus 24 against and 1 in favor. Let's kind of maybe do some math there, see what the agendas are. So just want to appreciate the 2 representatives from East Allen County going down to the State House and talking on behalf of us and other members like
And
us.
I think Erica
Erica
Jameson
Jameson.
from Northwest Allen was also
Yes.
testified.
I didn't see that one reported, so thank you to her as well.
Yep, absolutely. I was going to put that in there. So Erica Jameson, on that bill, all of us that sit up here do our best, I'd like to say, every single day to support our students for the students that they are. I am going to steal, I think it's a quote from our past Lieutenant Governor Sue Ellen Reed, who said, "The students in our buildings don't run around with little R's or D's on their heads. They're students. And we're here to represent them all." I can say that as a parent and a graduate of Fort Wayne Community Schools, I stepped up to run for this seat to support our students. I did not have any further agenda. I don't think that there's a lot of people on a lot of school boards around the state that do that. We work hard every day. We visit all our schools. We spend a lot of time. We try to get to know as many people as we can possible. But we're involved in our schools. And so I feel like there would be a whole lot of people that would never, ever step up to the seat if they would make these a partisan. And Erica Jameson had a very good display of how hard it was for a parent to do that. I think she had a lot of defacing of her signs. There were a lot of people who were calling her out, saying terrible things about her family. And that just discourages good citizens of Fort Wayne from wanting to do what is best. So yes, I oppose that bill as well as the other people. And I actually think it was like 28 people or 27 people and one for. So when things like that come up, and anyone out here in the audience tonight or anybody who's listening and watching us, support your neighbors and your friends and former teachers who want to be here to support you. Because all of these great things that we had presented tonight are happening right here in our schools. There's a lot of bad things that are happening at the State House that is going to impact our budgets. And as Noah pointed out several times, the operations, our operations funds across the state of all public schools are looking like we're going in the wrong direction. And you saw all kinds of wonderful, wonderful programs that we offer, but they all take resources. And we need the support of all our community members to support us so that we can continue to support those children in our schools who become active, wonderful citizens in our community. So I just encourage everybody to pay attention and do what you can. I know it's scary to speak up. I know it is, but you can write an email to those who are representing you. Remember, they represent you. They're supposed to be listening to you. They're not supposed to be turning away the 28 who are against and the 1 that's for. They're supposed to be listening to you. So hold them accountable. Call them. Write an email. I just encourage everyone to get involved. Whatever side you're on, we're here to support the kids. We're here to support the kids.
Thanks, Jen. Ann?
I have no comments this evening.
Dr. Daniel?
So Wednesday morning, we'll have a meeting with legislators. That would be the Upper Wabash group. So one of the things that's striking me right now is where do they see us 5 years from now? So that will be the question I'll ask. If you have some other thoughts, send them my way. And again, what we're seeing being laid out, what happens in 5 years? So we can perhaps manage a year, maybe 2, but now what is that impact for our kids? And then we have to have very tangible and objective ideas, actually I wouldn't be, samples of what that is going to do to impact kids. So again, I think we're at that stage now, so wish us luck.
Thank you to all the nurses who came tonight. Clearly you do more than ice packs and all the things that we remember from elementary school. I think that was the most critical thing I needed when my time at Irwin. The only other thing that I wanted to share is just congratulations to both the girls and the boys basketball teams from Memorial Park for winning the city championship this weekend. It's a very good day to be a Pirate. So we do have a speaker, but we'll hold that after we adjourn. So is there a motion on the floor to
One more thing, Madam President.
yeah.
I'll give a good luck to Snyder and Northrop girls who are playing right now, I believe, for the sectional championship.
Nice.
And you can guess where my heart is, but good luck to both teams.
Thanks for that, Noah. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks.
Second.
Thanks, Tony. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And this